And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Polizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. This Old Marketing. Take it away, boys.
Hello, my friends. This is Robert Rose, and welcome to episode number 284 of This Old Marketing, recorded on Thursday, August 12th, 2021. And with me, as always, my good friend, my colleague, and the guy who fans thought would be the next host of Jeopardy, Mr. Joe Polizzi.
I feel bad for LeVar Burton because I know how much he
I feel bad for all of them. You know what? You know what's so funny to me about this whole thing is, so you know who it is, right? You know who got named. There's two. They got the Mayim Bialik,
yep, from
the
many years
Big
of
Bang
different
Theory.
shows, including
Big Bang Theory. It's
correct.
mostly
You got it.
Yeah. And then the producer
picked himself.
I mean, right? Exactly.
What's up with that?
And you just, this is what I'm saying. Well, it's like who asked you? You know what I mean? It's like
well, what's the equivalent of that? Is that like if you are the owner of the New York Yankees, you pick all the Yankees to make the All-Star team? Or
no,
that you
the equivalent would be you're the owner of the Yankees and you pick yourself to be starting pitcher.
That's right.
Is what that is.
That's exactly right. It's sort of like Brewster's Millions.
Yeah.
With Richard Pryor.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't he buy the team and then he became the pitcher of the team?
Is that Brewster's Millions?
Yeah. That's what he wanted to do.
I know
yes, absolutely it is.
I know it's the plot of Heaven Can Wait. I mean, if you want to really date ourselves with movies, Warren Beatty.
That's a good movie.
Heaven Can Wait. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, yeah, that's a good movie. We're really dating ourselves. We've just lost any Gen Z that we had listening
that's right.
to us because
well,
we threw
I'm
out
telling you,
Brewster's
kids,
Millions and Heaven Can Wait.
Yeah, kids, go find on Netflix or Amazon or whatever your streaming platform of choice is. Go find both of those movies, but Heaven Can Wait is a great one. It's I mean, there's some great actors in it, and it's funny. It's really fun. Charles Grodin is amazing in it. He just passed away. I mean, it's a great movie.
He was awesome in that one. And then, it's fun. I remember, just to get on completely off the topic, but Brewster's Millions, I think at the time, he had to spend $1 million in, I think it was 30 days to get $100 million.
Right.
Or something like that.
That's right.
But but at the end of the 30 days, he couldn't hold any assets.
That's right.
And that's when he bought.
He should have just bought NFTs.
Well, yeah,
he should have just bought NFTs.
No. Those are assets, Robert. You would end up with assets.
Well,
you'd have to.
Are they really? Are they really?
You could.
Are they really though?
You could buy an NFT and then you could burn it. Then you would literally have nothing. But back to you totally distracted me off the point. Do you know how difficult? I mean, that is so difficult. Remember, he bought the upside down stamp that was worth like, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then mailed it.
And then he mailed it. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Anyways, people are gonna say, Joe, you got the whole thing wrong, but I love that movie. Anyways, back to your Jeopardy. Yeah, I'm very disappointed because I thought LeVar Burton would be great. The people obviously wanted him. A lot of people wanted him to fill that role. And who doesn't remember Reading Rainbow? I grew up on LeVar Burton. So
it would have been great. It would have been he is the closest thing I think to a Alex Trebek in terms of a natural progression, right? A natural sort of who should follow Alex Trebek as the captain of Jeopardy, and I think LeVar Burton is a perfect person for that. I mean, he's been about education his entire life, and he's got a very soothing voice and very great demeanor. It would have been great. I was rooting for him hard. But interestingly, did you see his ratings were some of the lowest of all of the people that they paraded out? His ratings were among the lowest.
I didn't see the whole ratings thing. So that's what they said, is that people just don't want to watch.
I didn't see anybody saying that. What I saw was sort of two separate stories. Was one, he didn't get it, but then two, it wasn't they weren't drawing that as a conclusion, but they were commenting that his ratings were really low.
Okay, well, what is a big pile of poop? I'm sorry. We should explain that we're recording this at a time that we have not recorded since whenever. I mean, this is prime time for you. So this is 4:00 in the evening for you. I just finished 9 holes in 90-degree weather, 100% humidity, and I played horrible. So I'm a little cranky. So
and I got up at 4 a.m. and have been on an airplane all day. So
but I think we should tell people that you and I saw each other a couple days ago
in real life. In 18 months.
First time since January. No, I think the first time since January of 2020.
That's right.
Because you came in, we saw The Office on Broadway production. Remember that? Was that?
Oh my gosh, I do remember that now.
You came in, we had dinner, the whole thing.
That's right.
We went out, we took my 2 boys out and did the Broadway show, which it was just okay. You and I said it was a solid B-. But
that's right.
That it's been 18 months.
We had a good time. Yeah, and where did we see each other? But at the wonderful Drew McClellan's Baba workshop event, which is Build a Better Agency. He runs his agency management institute to bring all these agencies together to talk about best practices and all of that. And I saw you. I saw our pal Jay Bear. I saw Carla Johnson, Paul Reitzer, my friend Kathy McKnight. So many people we got to see in person in real life.
And you were the opening keynote first day, and I was the closing keynote. So This Old Marketing, were the 2 bookmarks or whatever. What is that? Book holders? What are the holders?
Bookends.
See, I don't know what's going on, and I'm not on drugs
bookended
right
the show,
now,
folks. And I will say, when both of us brought up the show, it was like crickets. It was just like, I think no one listens to our show in that audience.
Well, no. Absolutely, because so first of all, this event was supposed to be May of 2020.
That's right.
It got canceled multiple times, and finally Drew was able to hold the event, which I think we need to talk about actually being at an event. So that
well, I'm happy to talk about my business travel experience because
you should. But I was going to say, before you get there, I did a book signing for The Will to Die. So because Drew was nice enough to buy books for May of 2020, that was the book I had out. So I'm doing a book signing for a book that is a year and a half old now, and I have already had another book out by then. But people did come up to me and they said, "Joe, I love the podcast," and I had to say which one, because I have 2. I do have 2, but they all said This Old Marketing, and they love they love listening to us. They say they get no educational value out of it, but sometimes we're interesting and fun. And I said that's fine.
That's what the whole thing is about.
Care about. But let's talk about your travel experience. So what would you haven't traveled 18 months. It's a long time, especially because
16 months to be accurate, but yes, that's exactly right.
18 months. Yeah. Thanks for correcting me. Go ahead. Tell your story, bad boy.
Well,
what you got?
Here's what I would say. It's funny because and I actually posted this on Facebook because this was my first trip in 16 months on a plane, etc. And if I wanted to be brought right back into, so just for the record, for any of you new listeners who aren't aware, my average travel in a year pre-2020, so say 2019 or 2018, was around 225,000 miles every year. I mean, I'm on the road a lot. And so I got pretty good at it. And so the first thing that happens to me is 4 hours before I'm supposed to take off to go to Chicago, United, they cancel my flight just 4 hours before I'm supposed to take off. So I'm in the middle of a workshop with a client when I get this text, "Sorry, your flight's canceled. We'll let you know when you've been rebooked."
Geez.
And I'm speaking the next day.
Be there. Yes.
Yeah, I have to be there for that day because I speak the next day. There's no, there's no not going. And so I'm in the middle of my workshop and I try and get it all sorted out. And I get myself rebooked literally in the workshop, dusted off the old, rebooking travel foo that I am really good at, and got myself rebooked, get on the plane. And it's late, of course. There's weather in Chicago. What else is new? It's August. And we circle the airport for an hour. So I don't roll into Chicago until right around 11 o'clock, almost midnight. Now, fine. That's not the way you want your first business trip in 16 months to begin, but there it is. What I've noticed is as I'm traveling, and this was sort of a wake-up call or whatever, I don't know. It's just, it's just sort of a reminder of this, is that we're not anywhere near being back to normal when it comes to travel and the amenities you would expect, right? The world is broken right now with this staff shortage, with restrictions, with everything that's going on that everybody just doesn't know how to do. And it was amazing to me. I mean, I went to a major hotel chain. This is where the event was being held. The hotel is ostensibly not there, right? I mean, you can go and you can stay in a room, but the restaurant's closed. The things aren't open. They close early. There's 4, people, and I'm not blaming the staff. They're doing the best they possibly can here. It's just a fact that it's broken. I mean, it's just not working.
And by the way, we don't want to give this away, but it rhymes with carrot.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm not going to say who it is. Go ahead.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's Schmariot. Yeah.
You got in. So you're there. You're hungry. It's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever it is, and you ordered food.
I ordered food on the way in because when you have this app now, the Schmariot app, you can actually order food that is you can pick up or have delivered to your. And it's the all night thing, right? So the choices are limited, and they always have been, right? It's it's a quesadilla or it's a side of fries or a pizza or salad or something like that. So I'm like, oh yeah, quesadilla, boom, and I'm like, hey, I'll be really smart here. I'll order something and I'll just pick it up on my way up to my room when I walk in. And so I'm in the car and driving to the airport, driving to the hotel, and I order it up. I walk in. Again, there's 2 people in the entire lobby of the hotel that work at the hotel. And I walk in the restaurant to the extent that it is one. It's one of those to-go places where you can get a sandwich and all that, is dark and closed up. And I'm like, hi, I ordered something, but it looks like it's closed. And he's like, oh, right. Yeah, you're that guy. And I'm like, what do you mean that guy? And he's like, well, here. And he pulls up my receipt that has come out of his machine, I guess. And it says, your order came in at 10:08 and they close at 10. And I'm like, yeah, but the app says all night. And he's like, yeah, I know it says that. And I'm just, you're left like, okay. Yeah, you can't argue.
What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do but say, thank you.
And then what?
And I turned around and went to bed.
You went to bed hungry, basically.
I did go to bed hungry. And it's just all of those things, sort of aggregate together to say that right now, any of you who are about to take your first business trip, what they're saying, which they always say, you like, I know you all, because I did it, you sort of give the side eye to the TV when they go, give yourself some extra time at the airport. You don't ever give yourself extra time. You know exactly how long you're supposed to do to get there. You know exactly how to run the, marathon between TSA and the gate. You know how to do all that. And you know exactly the minutes. And no, trust me, give yourself some extra time. Give yourself some extra grace. Things are not working like you thought they did. And it's honestly, I for me, other than seeing my really good friends that I haven't seen in a long time, I quite frankly could have given it a big skip.
What was so odd is, as you know, my wife and I were waiting for you because we were hoping to catch a drink with you. We didn't know when you were going to come in. And we're sitting there 8:30. We got down there about 8:30 p.m. and we're waiting. We had a beer and whatever, and we're checking in with you to see where you are. And I think that's when Pam said, do you need us to get you some food? I think they're closing things down.
Right. Yeah.
It was It's 9:15 p.m. in Chicago. The bar is full, like more than full, busting out full, and we're in a table in the corner, and the waiter comes by and says, "Last call," and we're like, I literally thought he was joking. I'm like, last call? This in the Schmariat Hotel? Like, this is always, you're always open. You have people that are ready to order drinks. There's people coming in. They want food and drink and whatnot. Last call. I didn't know if it was for that day or whatever, but it happened the next day as well. So they're closing up early. I can't imagine how, and by the way, at this hotel, if you want just a regular 12-ounce beer, you're spending probably $12.
Right.
So this is high margin business for them, and I'm under the assumption that they're doing it because they don't have anyone to work, or they're on limited.
That's my assumption.
Unlimited shifts. Here's the other thing. You know that we took the whole family. We did a whole family vacation. We went to Muskegon, Michigan. By the way, Muskegon, hats off to you. I love your town. We will be back. I absolutely love the vibe of that town, but near Muskegon is Michigan's Adventure Park. We went to that theme park. We took the ferry over to Milwaukee in the rental car we had. Then we went to Six Flags north of Chicago. Then went into Chicago. We're there, and I was actually thinking, well, I've got my speech on Tuesday, but there's so many great museums in Chicago. I'd love to take the kids to one of these museums and bore them to death.
Yeah.
No. All museums in Chicago are closed on Tuesday now.
Right.
Because they just don't have the workers to fill, except for the zoo.
Yeah.
Because it's the zoo, and the animals
amazing.
Are always work.
It's amazing. I mean, you hear about this stuff, and then when you sort of experience it, it brings it really home. I mean, I have a friend, I was telling you when I saw you, I have a friend who lives in Bozeman, Montana, and I'm sure there's not a lot of This Old Marketing fans in Bozeman, but what he was telling me was, he said all of the restaurants there have made a deal with each other that they're open every other Saturday because they don't have enough wait staff and bartenders and busboys to actually staff all the restaurants in Bozeman. So for Saturday nights, they all sort of split it up and they all work at different places. And I mean, it's weird out there, folks.
It is weird, but I will say that the people that were there, I think the word would be they were grateful to be among human beings.
Absolutely.
And you could feel it. Yeah, you could feel the excitement.
You could.
By the way, we went.
The event was fantastic. I mean, let me be very clear. The Drew's event was like top notch.
Didn't hear a complaint. No. Hats off to Drew McClellan. Hats off to Kelly Wetzel for Meeting Demands, who ran that event.
Yep.
She was, of course, outstanding. For those of you that don't know, Kelly used to run Content Marketing World events for CMI. Nobody's better than Kelly. So it was top notch all the way. I do want to mention, because people are probably wondering, that in order to speak or to attend, you needed to be vaccinated or
fully vaccinated,
vaccinated, or you could submit a negative test 72 hours prior, which I heard that there weren't that many of those there. So almost everyone was vaccinated. And the people were getting into it. They really were. And there were some people worried as well, because I haven't been around people like that. You haven't been around people like that.
No.
So we're trying to deal with it. But I did want to bring up something marketing related, just about the event space. So we're going through a real weird period. So right now, for a physical event, if you had your physical event in July, you were really lucky, right? Because now in August, we're in that period where Drew was probably like, do I keep it? Do I not? Whatever. He went ahead with it. Good for him. I think it worked out. I think it was the right decision. But you and I are both seeing events in September cancel. Yeah. Because of, the vid as we go. So what I wanted to bring up was one of our close friends mentioned to me, and he said, we're going to see the death of events. The second time around, we're going to go through it again. Events are going to go away. People are going to, and I totally disagree with that.
Oh yeah, I disagree
Events,
with that too. Yeah,
there's so much. What was so funny is all the
gratitude that people had there for just, I mean, it was palpable when the event started, how much energy was in the room for people just to be there, for the music to come up and Drew to take the stage and to, say hi and welcome to everybody. I mean, people were giddy that there was an actual physical event happening where they could go network and learn and work with each other and learn from each other and discuss and actually, sit down at a table and talk with each other. It was, they're not going away.
And you know this. I mean, you and I, we created, we were part of the team that put together Content Marketing World, and we always talked about the fact that, yes, of course, we want first-class education, but the event is all about networking. That is the number one reason people go to events. Is, of course, they have the excuse that, I'm going to have these great sessions, and they are. No doubt about it. Drew's session, great sessions. And we can talk about some of those if you want to, but really what it comes down to is I met people there that I would have never met, never bumped into, never sat next to at breakfast. All those things that happened in those relationships I now have, you can't get online. You cannot get. They do not happen this way. The kind of the serendipity that happens at events. So that's where. That's kind of where we built Content Marketing Institute. You and I kind of going out, talking about content marketing, meeting with chief marketing officers and marketing directors and talking about this stuff that never would have happened online only. So that's where I think that.
Well, and funny enough that when we get to that, it'll be a little bit of my rant later on in the show. It talks a little bit exactly to that idea.
Well, good. I won't spoil that. But you had I loved your presentation. You're a pro.
Oh, thank
you. First of all, your slides are impeccable. They always are. They're so much better than mine. I hate you for that. But you stepped on stage like you'd been doing this your whole life. You never missed a beat. You never would have known that you hadn't done it for 16 months. So hats off to you. That's
very kind. And very kind of you. And it's right back at you.
In a very solid. It was a solid lead up because you were talking about how agencies really need to understand this thing called content marketing, first-party data, the importance of it to the entire business, and that they have an opportunity to take advantage of parts where marketing directors go wrong, which is strategy. And I use this. I've used it a couple times since then. You basically said, and you've said this many times, but content is everyone's job, but nobody. I think when nobody owns it. Nobody's in charge of it.
Nobody. It's everybody's job and nobody's strategy.
Nobody's strategy.
In most organizations. Which is true.
And that's what you said is these agencies, which are mostly small and mid-sized agencies, can come in and be that strategic arm. And you had some great graphics about the fact that, if you're in strategy and measurement, you're fine. If you're in strategic guidance, you're great. Those are the places where you want to be. And if you're in the middle on creating content, you are in trouble.
Yep.
That is the place you don't want to be, which is...
You were as good as your last blog
Which, by the way, the presentation after you from Paul Reitzer was about the future of marketing and AI, which basically said most of that content creation stuff in the process is going away anyways.
Yep.
So that was interesting.
Yeah. And then yours was a great way to end the day because, of course, we talked about, your journey with CMI and selling it and how they my favorite part of your whole presentation. So folks, he gets up and he talks about CMI and basically multiple lines of revenue and owned land and rented land and all the things that you've heard on this show a million times. And he puts it all together in this wonderful narrative that talks about CMI. And at the end, he goes, so yeah, basically you don't want to be in the agency business.
No, it's I did not plan for that because you and I talked about it beforehand.
Yeah.
Just tell them not to be agencies. I said that's what I'm telling them, but I'm not telling them that. I can't say that.
And then it just came out. And then it just came out.
I'm at an agency conference. I can't tell them not to be agencies. But the way that it was set up, I said, okay, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be in the agency business. And then I stopped myself and I said, no. I guess I am saying that. I guess I'm saying that you shouldn't be in the agency business. And then I saved myself because I said, no, you are doing God's work. You are all doing, that got a big laugh. You are all doing God's work. But what the whole point of my presentation was, because I was talking about selling your agency. And as you know, if you sell a services business, you don't get high multiples. You'll get, for a middle of the road agency, you might get 1 or 1.5 times net income. If you're an outstanding agency, maybe you can get to 3 or 4 if you're lucky. But if you go to other opportunities that if you build an audience and then you can start a subscription business or an advertising sponsorship business or an event conference business, those multiples are much, much higher. So I said, what if you added to your services revenue line, which you should do because smart, innovative businesses diversify their revenues, then you could add these other lines that have much more favorable terms for buyers. And you opened yourself up to a whole bunch of different buyers than just other agencies. So yeah, that was a fun presentation. I've never done that presentation before. Obviously, I've talked about some of the same issues, but never in the vein of, look, you want to build an audience, because if you want to actually have wealth, if you want to retire with something, you might want to start thinking about pivoting the business.
Yeah, and by the way, you would have never known. It was like a story. You just slipped it on like a comfortable slipper. It was flawless.
I enjoy it. Well, you and I both. I love being on stage. Yeah. I just love the fact that I'm talking and everyone has to listen.
There's that.
And nobody interrupts me. There's nobody asking me for money. It's just me talking.
Nobody's asking me for money.
I'm talking about my kids, actually. No, yeah,
I understand.
Exactly.
I understand.
Yeah. So, but it was a good time. I know we probably at some point should get to some news, but I think
we have one story that we need to talk about because it's huge. It's a breaking news story, but yeah, it's. But other than that, it was a slow news week, so we're good. But yeah, we do have one big breaking story.
Okay, yeah, and we can absolutely talk about that. But I guess if we want to wrap this up with some learnings, I would say one.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're going to travel, it's not the same, right? It's definitely different.
It's not.
2, the event business, we don't know where it's going to go for the next 6 to 12 months, but long term, it's going to be fine. We're in rough seas. Like, if you think that you're okay for your event in November, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know, because I was talking to a couple of the big name speakers that were at the same venue that we were, and they've already had cancellations for September, October. So I don't want to, I'm planning on going to Content Marketing World. I know you are too. I think that's definitely going to happen, no doubt. But there are some corporations that might get a little, itchy about the whole.
Oh, there's definitely going to be some corporations that put the hammer down on travel and all of that.
So there's that, and then what's the other thing? That agencies should get out of the agency business.
Get out of the agency business.
And by the way, those people are so nice. Everybody was so nice.
Oh, it was lovely. It was just great amazing people. It was great people.
And it was good times. We'll be right back. Starting a business can be overwhelming, and a great way to make it simple is to go step by step. The Online Business Academy offers simple, easy to follow, and completely free courses to help you find a business idea, create a business plan, build a website, and more. The short videos, bonus activities, and resources give you everything you need to take your business up and running. Hosted by industry experts such as Ryan Folan, Jason Falls, and Kim Garst, these courses also come with interesting activities and exciting prizes. For more information, visit academy.get.online. That's academy.get.online. And now, back to the show.
All right, let's get us to this main wonderful, big breaking story here of the news, because we do cover the news here on this show occasionally. And like I said, this one, I mean, literally hit yesterday as we were at the event. Funny, it didn't come up at the event itself, but so there are many places that are covering this. We'll point our little browser link when you hit the show site in the notes to Axios, which the headline is exclusive here. Not exclusive anymore. Salesforce enters the streaming wars. This brought back so many memories of you and me talking, Joe. It was amazing. The article opens up by saying Salesforce is the latest tech giant to venture into video streaming with the launch of a new service aimed at business professionals called Salesforce Plus. Of course it's Salesforce Plus. Of course. The company's chief marketing officer, Sarah Franklin, tells Axios. The service is part of a greater effort to transition Salesforce's marketing approach from a paid customer acquisition to owned and operated media. If only there was a word for that. Franklin says that the hope that is that the content will help people refine their skills while also creating an emotional connection to Salesforce, driving users to want to use our products and want to engage more with us. Again, if there was only sort of a term that described what that is. Salesforce Plus will begin to debut globally during Salesforce's annual mega conference, Dreamforce, in September, and which is a free service initially and will feature original programming from Salesforce and eventually content created by its clients. The content will be available on demand 24/7, but also feature live event programming starting with Dreamforce. The company has hired around 50 editorial leads to help launch the service, including script writers and broadcast producers. It plans to fill many more editorial roles in the months to come as it builds up to its programming slate. I'll tell you just quickly here, because I want to totally get your take on this, Joe. I will say this. First, so full transparency and disclosure, Salesforce is one of my clients and has been for 4 years now. So I'm familiar with many of the people over there who are making this happen. I didn't know about it. I had no inside knowledge of this as happening. All I knew is that some of my friends over there were saying, yeah, something's coming. You should pay attention because something's coming. And I thought it was something with Dreamforce, and here it's this. And I will tell you, this is going to change the landscape over there for their marketing. It's going to change the landscape for what they do. They're going all in on it. So it's a thing. It's a thing. And I'll say this without, I'm not modifying or sort of going afoul of any NDA or anything. Just watch this space, because they're going to be let's put it this way, Salesforce is going to be actively trying to launch this thing in a way. So, if you're a media company, you may want to, just keep your eyes open.
It's interesting that this article says that they are moving their marketing approach from paid customer acquisition to owned and operated media. Of course, this is...
Which they've been doing for some time, by the way. This has been a goal of theirs for a couple of years.
But I've never seen an article say it. I've never seen an article really focus
I've never
on
seen
this,
one
say
yeah.
this.
No, neither have I seen the CMO actually say it.
They're real. So yeah. So first off, I mean, obviously, great move. You and I thought this was, if I remember correctly, you and I thought this was going to be LinkedIn, Microsoft LinkedIn, correct?
We predicted it. We
really thought that this idea that Salesforce just came out with almost to a T was going to be LinkedIn.
Yeah. We when LinkedIn bought SlideShare, you and I had this conversation in an airport somewhere where we said, 2009, 2010, 2011, somewhere in there, they bought SlideShare, and we were like, B2B YouTube. There you go. It's going to happen. They're going to launch an online content network service, and this is going to be it. Didn't happen. Then we thought, LinkedIn is the perfect one to do this with the acquisition of the online learning platform. I always forget the name of it, but their online learning platform. Going to be it. And then it just didn't happen. And it didn't happen. And it didn't happen. And we just, it was weird.
Yeah, this is going to change everything. This is, especially since it's coming from a B2B company. You have other B2B tech companies right now saying, God, we missed it. This was supposed to be us. Oracle's doing the same thing, right? Microsoft is obviously doing the same thing. They're like, we have missed the boat. What are we going to do? We need to play catch up. So you're going to see a lot of M&A. This is by Salesforce and by other companies trying to catch up. Now, what I love about this, if you read through what Salesforce is saying about this, I think their intentions are correct. They're basically saying that we believe if we create an ongoing relationship through the use of content, we build loyalty, they know, like, and trust us, they will become better customers. One, they are saying this in this release. If you read this over and over, they're absolutely saying this. The second thing they're saying is that if we do this correctly, Salesforce will be a more valuable company in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because of the valuations of media properties these days, like a Netflix, like a Disney Plus. Why? Like, look at the example of Disney when the pandemic hit. You would have thought that Disney, because they couldn't run Disney World anymore, or Disneyland, or any of their event properties, that it was going to take a bath. No, they didn't. You know why? Because Disney Plus saved them. Because that's the value in that organization now. That's what all the investors are looking at. Salesforce is saying, oh yeah, I mean, of course they've got a great valuation already as a B2B tech company, but you add this on, and you start adding subscribers, and then it's just going to come down to what's the behavior change in subscribers, and how are they going to spin that? I know how. I mean, in and of itself, if they have ongoing subscribers and good viewership, they can spin it a lot of different ways. Probably in more Salesforce customers. Salesforce customers that stay longer, Salesforce customers that buy more, new categories we never thought of before, new product development, whatever. Right? So this is really good. Second thing is, or third or fourth, whatever it is, this content better be good. It better be amazing. And it looks like they're investing in it enough that it will be. But if it's not, this is going to open up a huge opportunity for somebody else to take this spot, because you are going to, I would say, what's your prediction? What do you think, Robert? Do you think in the next 9 months, Microsoft or somebody else will launch the same thing as a competitor?
Not in the short term. No. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see, there may be, I don't think any of the big major competitors do, because I think they're going to take a wait and see. I think they're going to look at this and say, do we, let's see how they do with it. Because I think, just to your point, there's probably some healthy skepticism about whether they can execute against this, whether they can actually do it. And so when you look at the Oracles and the Microsofts and the Adobes, they will look at this and go, let's just wait and see. Unless they already have something in the works and they're just second on base, but then who knows? But I don't think anybody responds to this by doing it in the short term. In the long term, I think if any company that I know can do this, Salesforce would be the company that I would put my money on to bet that they can do it. They can actually get the good content, because quite frankly, Dreamforce is programmed very well and is huge. So they already do a good job of programming I don't know. It's in the thousands of hours of content for Dreamforce.
So they already. They're going to launch with 100 hours of new content. Not even.
Oh yeah. I mean, they've got so much content already that they could plug into this. That would be good. And we're not talking like just top 10 reasons you need to deploy a CRM system in your house, right? We're not talking sessions like that. We're talking like great, inspiring keynotes from Colin Powell, Michelle Obama, all the people who have spoken at Dreamforce in the past, all those keynotes, amazing keynotes that they have, amazing sessions from CEOs of huge companies that are providing tactical, and strategic business strategies. I mean, they've got amazing content in the can that they could launch with, and to your point, are going to launch new stuff. One of the things that I love about this is, so somebody, James Gardner, who's a friend and family of the show, sent over a link that was it's a magazine called, I guess, Protocol. I've never heard of it, but basically it's a very snarky article that covers the this launch, and the article's theme is basically just what you asked for on a Friday night, when you want to sit down and watch Netflix or Amazon. Salesforce, you can watch the Salesforce channel. How boring, right? They're like, oh, B2B, it's, ridiculous. There's a line in there where the article goes, yeah, basically Salesforce's customers will watch this, but nobody else will. Right. Right.
That's okay.
It's like, that's the point. That's okay. They have 500,000 customers. So 500,000 customers multiplied even by 2. Like, just there's 2 people at each customer, right? That's 1 million people who you can make 1 million people work
that's
on a streaming platform.
That's where a lot of the consumer publications don't understand the mechanics behind a business to business company. You
right.
don't need many companies. I mean, you and I
have right.
both worked on content marketing programs that were for less than 100 companies. Like, you would send out something
right.
to less, 2-3 people at each company. Yeah, let's do a program. Let's do a book program. Let's do a magazine. Those things have been done for a long time because it's not just one consumer paying $9.95 a month. This is a customer that has $1 million plus in buying power. That's what a lot of people miss in a lot of cases. So that's that's why by the way, this can be free. Why would you even charge $100 a year for a service like this when you just need one sale in every 20 people? Would more than pay for it.
Right.
So
it's basically what they've done is, and I know we both sound like a couple of fanboys here, but what they've done, which I've been screaming about forever, and by the way, to them, that they needed the 24/7, 365 version of Dreamforce. That was sort of my mantra every time I met with somebody at Salesforce. Oh my God, you guys should take Dreamforce. By the way, Dreamforce is the biggest technology software event on the planet. It's and that's held by a software company. We've done our own estimates to say, if you just value Dreamforce as a company, it would probably be worth near $1 billion.
And you don't even realize the amount of sponsorship they get to pay for all of it. They could make so much money on that event if they decided to. They don't have to at all.
And by the way, they do make a lot of money. I mean, it's in the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars that they make on Salesforce to cover some of those costs. They spend a lot more than that, by the way, because they basically take over San Francisco for the week. But if only customers watch this, if they only are limited to customers, this thing is going to be an amazing success. And they've taken it and built the vision and said, oh, you asked for a 24/7, 365-day a year version of Dreamforce. We're taking it a step function better than that. We're gonna turn this into, its own content network.
You are probably right. The last comment I want to make is this. You're probably right with the fact that you'll have a lot of chief marketing officers at big tech companies, mostly because they have all the cash right now, take a wait and see approach. That said, we all know that there's a land grab for audience right now going on. It is a thing. CMOs know about it. You had, even this article mentions HubSpot buying The Hustle, and the Skim is looking to sell to a non-media company. Smart. You even mentioned in your presentation about Salesforce buying, CMO.com, and they're already in this march. So, there might be enough pressure built up already for a move like this to happen. And again, I'll say this, and I said it in my presentation, the reason why you will have, and I don't want to call them reckless investment decisions, but I'll say maybe more aggressive decisions like this, it's because there's no use sitting on cash right now. And Salesforce has a ton of it. A ton of cash that they are sitting on. And so is HubSpot, and so is Oracle, and so is Microsoft. I mean, Apple has something like $500 billion in cash that they're just sitting. I mean, they can buy half of all the media properties on the planet with that.
Yeah.
So just think about what get ready for this thing to unleash. Salesforce is doing it in a very strategic way, it sounds like. But we could get very close, Robert, I think, to a lot of kind of what's happening in the NFT market right now. A lot of like, hey, I don't know how high this thing is going to go. We got to buy now. Like, we haven't reached bubble status at this point. You have a lot of demand for this. You and I have been talking about this for 10 years, and we're finally at a point when all the stars align and the cash is available and the budgets are expanding, that something like this is going to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised that inside that 6 to 9 month period that you talked about, that I think that you will have a couple of these crazy announcements that they're going to compete head to head against the Salesforce in this manner. So
yeah. Agreed, and look at it this way. This is another another way to look at it, given the lens that you, even in your presentation at Drew's event, you take an asset like Dreamforce, which is really seen by Wall Street, I'm sure, as a loyalty marketing campaign, and so it's looked at as a marketing cost. I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's the way that they see the profit line there. And so you turn this into an asset of a product, you turn that into a digital content product, you change the valuation. You change the valuation of the cost and revenue lines of that entire area of the business, which gives you a higher multiple, as a company, which starts to justify a little more, perhaps, when you've got a over, maybe somebody would say, okay, well, if you look at their PDE ratio and you look at the stock price, it's kind of overblown right now and it's probably overvalued. But this is the kind of move that helps to settle that down, because when you start thinking about a media company versus a marketing cost as where that money is being spent versus, so all of a sudden the costs look like investments and the revenue looks like actual revenue. So it changes the game in terms of the way that you see the accounting of something like a quote unquote Dreamforce event.
Well, I don't know. I think two people wrote a book called Killing Marketing that said the marketing department is going to become a profit center. The original title for Killing Marketing, by the way, was Marketing Profit.
Yeah,
it was going. Right. We were talking about
That's the one McGraw-Hill really liked. They really loved that.
We said it was not flashy enough. We have to kill something. Let's kill it.
Remember how hard we fought for that skull and crossbones?
I still think it works. I don't know if ultimately we sold more or less by calling it Killing Marketing, but I sure like it. But regardless, we are seeing it. We're seeing everything we talked about happen. I mean, it's going to be a long time before a lot of companies get that, but hats off to Salesforce for being the first one through, and they'll probably get bloody. The first one usually is, but I hope they're indeed successful. It sounds like they're putting the investments into it to create this kind of quality content. By the way, if you're a content creator and you target enterprises, you should be contacting somebody there and selling your company to them, because they'll probably buy you.
Well, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but yeah, you should think about it.
Now would be would you like this podcast? We will get some good terms here. Or if you're thinking about a really good show, now is the time to pitch them on it.
Or if you have a really big video production capability that you can actually put things together for, big networks, and you're just looking for that, you're the execution arm of, I'm just saying, hashtag.
Yeah,
just saying.
Exactly. So there you go.
All right. What we should do is just, we're just going to leave that story to hang there, just to settle, just to take a breath, because that's worth covering all on its own. And we're going to jump right to Rants and Raves. We're going to go right to Rants and Raves, where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave over something that makes us feel like Salesforce launched the validation of our existence, or something that makes us feel like LeVar Burton hosting Jeopardy. Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. But it was more. It's just a realization that I had from being at Drew's event again, Build a Better Agency, and what I noticed more than anything else, and we know this from being at Content Marketing Institute when you get to talk to the community. But now I've had a chance to, I've known about Drew's community at Agency Management Institute for a long time, but I didn't get to interact with the people there, where I finally did. And know what I realized is, and you probably saw the same thing, these people will go run through a wall for him. They would literally do anything for him. It's hard to express how much loyalty there is because of Drew's ongoing content, the ongoing conference calls that he has with them, his podcast, his book, the platform that he's ended up building. And it makes the case that if you were going to do anything, if you were going to launch in any area, this is how you would want to do it, by becoming a guide, a helper, the informational expert in an area, and then go ahead and launch those products. And I love, by the way, the sponsors of this event were great. But again, they had booths and they were sort of interrupting at this conference. They fit in really well. No problems there. But again, I'm doing my book signing, Robert, and I'm signing away, and I'm seeing these people work really, really hard to sell their wonderful software solutions. And in the back of my head, and I probably shouldn't think this way, but I'm thinking, you could have all done or could all do what Drew is doing right now yourself. So you don't have to buy a booth and stand there and pitch as many people as you do and have the drawing for AirPods and whatever. By the way, which is great. Not it. I'm not against advertising. I'm not against sponsoring at events. But I'm just saying, I really believe that the easiest way to do it is to build a loyal audience that knows, likes, and trusts you, and then you can go ahead and launch anything that you want to. And I wish more people would do that. And I guess the other thing is you have to, and this is what I realized after my speech, and I'm sure you got a lot of feedback on yours.
I didn't.
You did not?
Actually.
Okay. Well,
I didn't.
Yeah,
well,
no,
I didn't.
Well, okay. Whatever. I can't help you.
I did have a couple.
It was
I had
different because I was actually doing a book signing, and I had to I was forced to talk to people, so I had to do that.
Right.
But what more and more people came up to me and said how hard they believe it is to build a loyal audience, and I have to say it is hard work to do that. It's not impossible. It's not rocket science. It just takes.
Well, it's not complicated work. It's just a lot of work.
More than anything else, it takes. You need some kind of differentiation. You need to deliver consistently over time, and you need lots and lots of patience. You do those three things, you can do that. So while you are doing the interruption and sponsoring things and getting things off the ground or whatever, which is fine, we have to, we have to sell all the leads, you can't just get all the Glengarry leads, right? You have to sell all of them.
Right.
So until you get all that stuff done, first start working on the process. So everyone listening to this, it's time to just not settle. We just have to, it just reminded me, of course, being in person, how powerful when you build a community like this, you really have the flexibility to go in all kinds of directions with the business model. Drew is in a great position. I'm sure his next event is going to have twice as many people there. And to pull more than 200 people in this environment for a very small event was unbelievable. So what they've been able to pull off. And so I guess I would just, hats off to him, but also people, get your act together. Let's go.
Well, I love the meta nature because you're basically, you told Drew's audience, stop being you. And now you're telling this audience, stop being you. You have to change. You have to change, Jerry. You have to change.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I've been doing this too long. Like literally, you and I mean, I don't know when you consider the year that you started to make the transition to content marketing. You've always had this in your brain, but then you started to go out and pitch this stuff. Okay.
So I can tell you because my good friend Kathy and I, guess where we had our dinner? In Chicago.
That's where you and I
had our dinner at the exact place. Yes. And I said, well, I want to go have dinner there. And that's where we had dinner. That was in 2009. Sorry, 2009.
Was it 09? Wasn't 08? Was it 09?
Oh no,
It
you're
was
right.
8.
2008.
Yeah, it was 8
2008.
because then
Yeah,
we started
2008.
working on our first project in 09.
Yeah, that
together.
in 09. That's
Yeah,
right.
that was the day. I'm sure some people have heard this before, but I was going to give a presentation on content marketing. Nobody was talking about this stuff in 2008, and I go to this event, Scott Abel's event, and you're doing a presentation on content marketing. I'm like, okay, he's stealing my thunder. Like, I'm the content marketing guy. What's going on?
Right.
I'm doing this, but to date, I mean, it's been 21 years since I've been in this industry. 2000, I started in custom media, and it's just how hard we've worked all these years. And I guess why I'm now such a fanboy over the Salesforce thing is because it's nice to see. It's nice
the vision.
to see it.
It's the vision realized. Yeah, it's the vision realized.
This is what we always thought was going to happen, and now it's finally happening 21 years later. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's the vision where a mainstream company is making a big bet on this and saying the words out loud, right? They're not saying that this is some weird advertising campaign that they're experimenting with, blah, blah. Yeah, right. They're launching a thing. They're launching a product. They're launching it's the vision realized.
All right. Do you have a rant or a rave for yours?
I do have it's a rant, more commentary more than anything else. It feeds into something we were talking about very early in the show. The story that we'll link to, I just came across my inbox, and I just, it was like one of those where you sigh. So it's you've heard me rant about the work from home and the remote work thing before. And, the headline that the show will link in the show post, of course, is Big Tech lost the work from home battle. Now newsrooms should give in to less meetings, more email, more audio. And the article basically goes through and makes a case that that Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Uber, Lyft, all of these have, sort of given in, as the article positions it, and sort of, given up the ghost as to the demands of the populace. It's like the French Revolution, and they've given in, and now they're giving in to work from home, and they've all sort of said that, everybody can work from home now, and the employees won, basically. And then his main point is that, newsrooms should start doing the same. And I don't necessarily disagree with the facts that they use to support that angle of that it's actually happening. I don't deny that work from home is actually going on, and that people are actually wanting it. The populace, the general sort of, every survey that seems to come out these days seems to support the idea that most people would rather, certainly in the information business, there are certainly, some other, careers that obviously don't have the luxury of being able to work from home. But what I really want to just caution us all on both the hiring side of things, the owners of businesses, the employers of the world, as well as the employees of us and the ones who work for companies, is we really, really, really need to not look at this as a war, because that's not going to get anybody anywhere. And whenever I see and I talk to senior executives at these companies, the Googles, the Amazons, the Microsofts, the Lyfts, the Salesforces, the Hewlett Packard, the IBMs, all of these big companies, it's not that they're sitting up in their white tower with a cat in their arm going, wow, we're going to make everybody come back to these offices and put them in slave trades, and whips and chains and all. It's not that. It's definitely
that sounds like Jeff Bezos. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't say that.
Yeah, there it is.
Just kidding.
What it is that they're trying to figure out how to do this in the right way. They're trying to figure out how to do this, because it's not like this work from home thing just came up in 2020. It has been around for 20 years. They've been trying to sort this out, and the pendulum has swung back and forth. There are definitely good, productive, wonderful things that happen when you have an employee base that can work from home. Productivity goes up. All sorts of things, happiness can go up. The ability for people to manage their own business goes up. All these wonderful things happen, and employees are rightfully going, yay, these are wonderful things that we want to keep, that we got during 2020, and we want to keep that. But there are also bad things that happen. There are also bad things like loneliness and being cut off from the community of your company, and overwork and the ability that if you're not trained to manage a remote team, your boss could basically screw up your entire career by being unable to manage a remote workforce. There's a lot of complexity built into this shift, this transition. And as it starts to happen, we should just all be conscious of that, because as we start transitioning, there are going to be unintended consequences if, quote unquote, the employees win the war and they all get to work from home. Things like, hey, have we thought about what happens when that overambitious person who networks with everybody in the office and gets really great starts getting promoted over the people who work from home? The culture shifts so that the in-office people are now treated a little better than the work from home people. How do you deal with that? Is it right? Is it wrong? There's no good answer there, because neither is a wrong answer. It's just two approaches to the work. But one of them may start to become more cliquey and more popular with executives and may start to see up a career ladder. Is that going to swing back the in-office work, or are we going to start seeing revolts from the employees saying you're abusing the at-home employee? What if the reverse happens? What if people who work from home all of a sudden find themselves overworking and they're getting promoted in more readily fashion? And all of a sudden everybody starts working from home to try and do that, and it starts to damage the business. It's a very complex issue, and one that's not going to get solved in the next 2 months. And so my rant, I guess, if I have one, is these over-the-top headlines of saying that, we've got to fight for the employees' rights and big tech is losing the work-from-home battle, and we should be glad that they're losing that battle, and we should just go forward pell-mell into the breach, is the wrong message. And I just hope we get a little bit of take a breath and look at this in a sane way, because there are some really good things that can happen out of this that we can evolve into and innovate into, but it's going to take some thought.
Lots of different ways to get there, right? You can't.
Yep.
And regardless of my rants earlier today, there are all kinds of ways to do business today. There are full virtual businesses, there are mixed businesses, there are all in-person businesses, and they all can work depending on. And I don't like how somebody says, media companies have to. Media companies must.
Right.
I hate the ones that say New York Times has to move away from their advertising model. Why? Why do they have to do that? Why do they have to do that when they get 25 million in revenue per quarter plus? Like, that's a really good revenue stream. Should I just give up on that? What? No. It's just part of a really solid business model. So
yeah, I mean, it's starting to happen now, right? I mean, I talked to one business owner at the event we were at who said, hey, in January, I basically sent out a note to all the employees saying, basically, it's your choice. You can work from home or you can come into the office. If you come into the office, you need to be vaccinated. But if you can come into the office, what I really would need from all of you is just when, like how much do you think you're going to use the office? Overwhelmingly, it came back, we'll probably be in 3 days a week. We'll all be in, like 3 days a week on average. He said, here we are 8 months later. He said, nobody's going in the office. He said, nobody goes to the office. He said, so I'm thinking about killing the entire office. Like, just kill the office and go fully virtual. He said, but I don't know that that's the right answer. He said, because as soon as I take it away, maybe they're going to come back and go, we wanted the office. We need a collaboration space. We need a place for, getting together. It's just, it needs to be, we need to think through this in more than just a Survey Monkey poll. You know what I mean? It needs to be thought through. That's my only point.
I think the theme of this show is it's still crazy times out there. And we can't necessarily jump.
There's your title. There's your title for the show.
Because we can't jump into anything today. Because right now we don't live in the reality we live in. We don't know how long this is going to last. We really don't. We're going to take some things and move forward, and some things are going to go away. We don't know yet. So,
yeah.
Done.
All right. Well, you're back at home, and what happens this week?
Well, a lot is happening in the Polizzi household because we have 2 children that are leaving for college.
Holy smokers.
So we've got one leaving next week and one leaving the next week. And that's it. And then and
that's amazing.
Basically, my wife and my life, it's over. We're done. We got nothing.
Done.
No, we're throwing a party. We're gonna do all kinds. We're gonna do all the things. No,
nice.
I'm very excited for the kids. We're just it's kind of challenging to get them ready to go and think about things they have to pack, and they're very nervous as well. They don't talk about it, but you can tell this is a big deal, especially after the year.
Oh, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
House. So they're going to be out amongst the human beings. So I'm very excited for them. So we're doing all those things. So what do you have going on?
Lovely. Here's the thing. As we enter the sort of dog days of August, we are coming around the bend of a very busy time. If you've heard me say for the last few episodes of how much client work we've had, and it started the bulge in the snake, I guess, if that's the right metaphor, is we're starting to get to the end of that, and starting to look at some new projects and starting to look at some other things, and really feeling good about the summer, and thinking about content marketing world here not coming up too long from now, and other things, and sort of getting ready for fall, I think, and also have to just say, so glad football is back.
You got to see your
ready. I'm excited.
Game. I know it wasn't any starters, but it was football.
I did. Yeah, it was football, and I'm just ready to rock and roll on that. So all in all, I'm feeling pretty damn bullish, my friend.
Going into the fall on all fronts. There we go.
There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that is it. Feeling bullish on everything else, and feeling bummed about the Jeopardy host, but that's it. We're signing off. If you want to get all the goodness of this podcast show notes or dive into any of the other 283, that's right, 283. Can you believe it? 283. We're going to hit 300 before the end of the year, folks. That's kind of amazing. Just head on over to our wonderful little website called ThisOldMarketing.site. We want to thank the good folks at Radix for powering the ThisOldMarketing.site. And if you want your own .site domain, get over there and get your own .site domain. Until we meet again, just remember, it's your story to tell. Tell it well. See you next week on This Old Marketing.